Hey guys, welcome to chapter 4 in First Corinthians. We're excited to dive in. One of the comforting things that Paul starts out on is the word faithfulness.
Yeah,
It just talks about how if what's required of us. Right? Is it to be super successful? Is it to be super productive, get a bunch of things done, or look good doing it? None of those things. He says we're supposed to be faithful.
Yeah.
And that's Paul disclosing the mysteries of God. As fancy as that sounds, all he needed to be was faithful. Whether it's taking care of the kids, whether it's going to work, that's the same case. And he says in that vein, as he's being faithful to God, he says, no one can judge me. He says, human courts, you can't judge me. I don't even judge myself.
That kind of sounds like, a popular phrase in our society today. No one can judge me. Don't judge me. Only God can judge me. Sounds like a bumper sticker or something.
Yes. I once met a man with a tattoo that
there you
said,
go.
Only God can judge me.
Yeah, but is that what he means? Just kind of prideful, no one can judge me, no one can touch me and my awesomeness?
Yes. Actually, I think so.
Really?
He's saying only God can judge me, and God has judged me faithful. Right? God has judged me clean. He turns the corner and he says, I don't even judge myself. It's the Lord who does that.
Wow, that's powerful.
And so he said, if the Lord looks at me and sees Jesus and sees his beauty and his purity, then I'm not going to listen to anyone else. I'm going to listen to the voice of the Lord.
Yeah, wow, that's powerful. In our day of self-esteem, where everyone's like, how do I feel good about myself? This passage comes in very powerfully. And a great resource on this, if you want to do more of a study, and this is something, and you've wrestled with, I know I have, and I found this book very helpful. It's called The Freedom of Self-Forgetfulness by Tim Keller. Super short. You could read it in one sitting. It's on our online bookstore. Encourage you to get it. Just a couple bucks, really, not expensive at all, and it would give you a lot of help on what Paul's talking about here in chapter 4. But what's interesting here, when he's talking about judging and what you were saying, he even takes it a step further in verse 5, and he tells them not to pronounce judgment before the time, either against ourselves, but certainly against others either. Because here they were dividing. Remember, we're still in that section on division. They were dividing over Apollos and Paul and Peter and taking these celebrities and criticizing the other parties.
Yeah. Why do we do that, man?
Yeah, it's just part of our human nature. We like to judge people, quite frankly. We like to put people in boxes. Yeah. We like to write them off. And even when we first meet people, we tend to be a little judgy if you're anything like me, whether it's on the road, certainly. I'm the best driver there ever was. Everybody else is too slow, too fast. I judge them all. Or even just first impressions. Think about the first time you met some of those people in your group and what you thought of them initially. Don't tell them about that. That might be a little rude. I don't know what you first thought of me when you first met me.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to know.
I probably don't want to know. I would judge by no means.
Yes.
But we can easily jump to conclusions about people.
Definitely.
And Paul is saying, hey, don't go beyond what is written about yourself. Don't jump to conclusions about others. Don't be puffed up about your own tribe or celebrity. Instead, just submit to God. And his view of us is even better than our own view of us, and certainly our view of others. So how does that look in your life? How do you tend to jump to conclusions about people, misjudge them? And how can we do a better job about this? Discuss that tonight.
Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about the rest of the chapter.
Yeah,
I think it can get a little 21. Bit muddy, a little bit
it's a bit much.
Convoluted.
Yeah.
I think what Paul is doing is he's asserting himself. He's being sarcastic.
A little bit of godly snarkiness, I like to call it.
Yeah, godly snarkiness. And the point, I think, is found actually in some of his final words. He says, the kingdom of God does not consist in talk, but in power.
Verse 20, yeah.
Right? So a lot of people in this church, Matt, and maybe in ours, I know I do this often, we talk a lot.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about who we like the most. We talk about the things that we are proud of. We talk about the ways that we're better than other people. Or maybe they're just boasting that they're super spiritual, right?
Yeah.
Paul says, you're supposed to be faithful.
Yep.
And then he says, and to boot, don't forget, I've gone to the arena for these things, right? I'm daily given over to death for the sake of Jesus. And it's supposed to be life to you. But he says, you're not too good to get in the trenches. You're not too good to follow Jesus. You're not too good to follow me. He even says, imitate me.
And then the last question for you related to this, as he describes what he's like, what his ministry is like, what an apostle's ministry is like, ending with the scum of the world, the refuse of all things. Think about how you view your heroes. We're coming up on the Super Bowl. Not that I really know anything about that, being not a sports person. Something to do with baseball, right, I think? Yeah, something like that. And we lift up these athletes or any sort of celebrity, certainly more in my line of thinking superheroes, you know, we watch them on the big screen. We like those awesome people. And we lift people up for certain reasons. These are our heroes. So how does Paul lift up a Christian hero? How is a Christian hero different from how the world might perceive somebody who's heroic or awesome or fantastic? So discuss that. Think about that. And we hope it's a wonderful time of discussion tonight.
Looking forward to it.
Yep, as you wade through this very interesting passage and see what God has to encourage you about.